Hey there, Dr. Alan Christensen here, and I want to talk about a super important nutrient that you don't hear talked about anywhere near enough. Good old H2O. Super important stuff, and I love it. Did you know that if you were a little bit dehydrated, you might not feel thirsty? And along with that, you could be constipated, you could have heartburn, more allergies, easier time catching respiratory infections, more back pain, muscle cramps, muscle fatigue, and also poor cognitive function, all from just not enough water. Simple thing. Now, a whole lot of concepts are wrapped around water. We think about water being, should it be alkalized? Should it be magnetized? Does it need to have certain frequencies? Does it need to have minerals? Should it not have minerals? And I'll clarify a bunch of those for you. I'll also talk about how much you need and some strategies for when you're being active. During those special times, your body's moving more. For starters, what about alkaline water? Well, having a background in science, to tell someone that they've got alkaline water is kind of like saying you've got a square circle. So alkaline and acid are terms that we use water to define, and water is defined as being neutral. It's neither acidic nor alkaline. So things that are acidic, they've got more hydrogen ions. Things that are alkaline have more hydroxyl ions, OH. Now water is H2O, so you got an H and an OH in equal quantities. No matter how you slice it or dice it, it'll never be acidic and it'll never be alkaline unless you've pulled something out or added something in. And that's good. Our bodies are pretty tightly regulated to run off of water and to use it. We would not do well consuming things that were acidic or highly alkaline on a regular basis at all. It would hurt our esophagus either way. We hear about magnetic water. So magnetic is a very defined term. There are certain types of metals that can magnetize and can react to magnetic fields. Iron's of course a real classic example of this. You can experiment to see if water can become magnetic the same way you can with metals. Take a good magnet and take something like a screwdriver. You can stroke a magnet against a screwdriver a couple dozen times, and after you do so, take that screwdriver and hold it against a small screw. It'll pick it up. If you're a handy person, this is actually a useful tip to keep the screw in place so you don't drop it. So yeah, you can magnetize different metals. Try magnetizing water. Glass is not magnetically reactive, that's pretty clear. Take the same magnet that you use to magnetize the screwdriver with and try holding it against a glass of water, so it won't hold. You can also try to magnetize water by moving the magnet against the water the same way you did with a screwdriver. Try again to hold the magnet against the glass. See what happens. I'll bet the farm it won't hold. Water does not contain iron or other active minerals that engage in magnetic currents or magnetic fields. It cannot be magnetized or demagnetized or remagnetized, so it doesn't work that way. We also hear about, can water pull things out of your body? Is it dangerous to drink purified water because it'll strip out all your minerals? It seems plausible. You could take distilled water and some types of pipes, some types of metal pipes they could corrode or break down because of that. The same thing happens from softened water that can cause calcification or residue to form on pipes. Well, inside of our bodies, it's pretty different. Our skin, our kidneys, our intestinal tract, we're pretty well made to move outside of the ocean. We've got like this, kind of like a reverse scuba suit. We've got all this system made to keep something a lot like the ocean inside of us. And we let some water out strategically and we choose what goes in that. Our kidneys control that. So when we consume water, the water does not hold on to anything that we lose control over. It cannot pull things out that are already inside of our bodies. When we pass out water that we take in, we do so intentionally. And our kidneys decide, how much sodium will I put in this? How much chloride, how much urea? It's all very strategic and chosen. And the water has no way of holding things through that whole ride. So distilled, reverse osmosis, purified water, they do not pull things out of your body. They do not leach minerals from your body. I really like reverse osmosis as the most practical way to have access to water at home. We've got a little system in our home that holds a couple gallons. It fills it up every day. We've got good purified water available right in the tap right there. There are times in which water that happens to contain naturally occurring minerals can give us minerals. So we can assimilate minerals from water, but we do not lose minerals from water. The minerals from water, magnesium can be of some use when you see still or bottled sparkling water that contains it. Calcium, not so much. Calcium from water is usually a type that does more bad calcium things than good calcium things. What I mean by that is it's more apt to form plaque and calcification than it is to form mineralization or healthy bones. So you don't really want that type anyway. Best general rule is that minerals should come from your diet or from supplements, and water should be your best source of water. So you want purified water. Tap water is a concern. Even in the better areas, you do hear rates about certain infections, certain pesticides, certain contaminants. It's a wonderful thing that we don't get major danger from our tap water, but it's not ideal. You do want it purified in some way still. In terms of quantity, a rule of thumb is about 1 ounce per pound of body weight per day. I'll save you some math. That's about 3-4 quarts for most of us. If you're not very thirsty, you might be dehydrated. If you're behind on your body's fluid by even a few percent, your thirst mechanism don't work. Wow, that was bad. If you're behind on your body's fluid by even a few percent, your thirst mechanism will not work properly. Is that crazy or what? So if you get yourself hydrated, you might feel thirstier. If you don't have a strong taste for water already, do at least 3 quarts a day for 2 weeks and see how you come out afterwards. You'll probably want it more. The other question is, what do you do about hydration while you're being active? Do you just pound water as fast as you can or only when you need it? This is a tricky one. You cannot really rely upon thirst or aggressive hydration to safely help you, especially if you're doing prolonged things outdoors. Totally tragic, but whenever we hear of a fatality at a marathon or an Ironman type event, the person almost universally became hyponatremic. They got low sodium in their blood. And that means they overhydrated. Usually they just took in too much water relative to their electrolytes, and they diluted that too badly. Now, how does that happen? Well, when we're active, we can consume fluid, but we may not assimilate it. It might sit in our stomach or our intestinal tract, but we may not be able to bring all of it in our bloodstream right away. So that's how we can overhydrate. We make this big thing like a swimming pool in our intestinal tract, and that can draw electrolytes into it. That can leach electrolytes into that container when we're overhydrating. This can happen because hard breathing, our mouth feels dry, we take in quite a bit. Also, the physical activity pulls more blood away from our intestinal tract. So we're not very active in our intestines when we're running hard or being active. It also can occur because we're stressed, we're nervous, we're trying really hard to do something we think will help us, and we may get too much. Now you can also get too little, of course, and with too little, your performance goes down. Just even in being active or exercising, you'll enjoy it less, and you'll recover from it more poorly if you underhydrate. So how much is enough? This is pretty crazy, but the range is extremely narrow. If you're a big guy carrying a pack on a hot day up Pikes Peak, you may be able to assimilate about 26-28 ounces of water per hour. If you're a petite woman doing gentle activities on a cool day and it's humid somewhere, you may be able to assimilate only about 20 ounces per hour. So it's not that big of a range. Most of the bigger water bottles are about 24 ounces. This one, I think you can see that. Yeah, 24 ounces. So a good sized water bottle per hour, that's a real good gauge. I love Camelbacks, the water packs when I'm out doing longer events, and most of those can do fine for 2 or 3 hours worth of hydration. Some even do a little bit more. So around 24 ounces an hour, really good gauge. Not too much more, not too much less. You'll also hear about cold being bad, that you want to take warm water. There's not hard evidence behind that. I think there's some idea about, a puritanical idea about good things being bad for you, and most of us really prefer cold water when we're being active, and it assimilates just fine. The ice is not harmful or bad for us in any way. In most cases, by enjoying it more, we'll consume it more readily. So make sure your water intake is great, your health will be better for it, especially your intestinal tract and your movement, and your enjoyment of activity will go way up. Get a good reverse osmosis system in your home. That's the easiest thing. Check out some of the rental packages too. In our area, we have a rental system that it ends up being less cost than just buying filters does. They take care of the filters and manage the whole thing, and we love it. So yeah, get RO in your home. hydrate really well, and thrive and enjoy yourself. And we'll talk really soon. Bye-bye.